Lisa Carter held her baby son Danny close to her chest as she walked through the broken streets of New Haven. The city looked like a giant had stepped on it and crushed everything under his feet. Buildings lay in pieces. Cars were turned over and burned black. Glass covered the ground like sharp snow that would cut your feet if you walked on it wrong. 3 months ago, this place had been home to 50,000 people. There were schools and hospitals and parks where children played. Lisa used to work at the medical center as a nurse. She had a small apartment with yellow curtains and a garden where she grew tomatoes. Danny had his own room with blue walls and toy rockets hanging from the ceiling. Now there was nothing left but broken concrete and twisted metal. The alien ships had come without warning. The Zephyrians, they called themselves. They spoke in clicking sounds that hurt your ears and had gray skin that looked like stone. They said humans were not worth keeping alive. They had big guns that could destroy whole buildings with one shot. Lisa pulled her thin jacket tighter around Danny. The baby was only 6 months old, but he felt too, light in her arms. She had not been eating enough, and her milk was getting thin. Danny cried less now, which scared her more than when he cried all the time. Babies should cry when they are hungry. When they stop crying, it means they are giving up. She kicked a piece of broken glass out of her way and kept walking. Her shoes had holes in them, and her feet were cold and wet. It had been raining for 2 days straight. The water mixed with ash and dust to make a gray mud that stuck to everything. There were other people still alive in the city, maybe 200 of them hiding in basements and broken buildings. They came out at night to look for food and things they could use. During the day, they hid from the alien patrol ships that flew overhead like metal birds looking for mice. Lisa had been looking for food since before the sun came up. She checked every garbage pile and every broken store she could find. Sometimes she found a can of food that was not too damaged. Sometimes she found medicine or batteries. Most of the time she found nothing but more broken glass and dead rats. She stopped in front of what used to be the medical center where she worked. The building was split in half, like someone had hit it with a giant axe. One side had fallen down completely. The other side stood like a broken tooth against the gray sky. Lisa had avoided this place for weeks. Too many bad memories. Too many people she knew had died here. But she was getting desperate. Danny needed food, and she was running out of places to look. She climbed carefully over the broken concrete that blocked the entrance. Inside, everything was dark and wet. Water dripped from holes in the ceiling. The smell of mold and something worse filled the air. Lisa covered her nose with her free hand and tried not to think about what that smell might be. Her old workplace looked like a tornado had hit it. Beds were turned over and medical equipment was scattered everywhere. Papers and glass covered the floor. Lisa stepped carefully, trying not to make noise. She did not know if there were other people hiding in here. Some of the survivors had gone crazy and would attack anyone they saw. She made her way to what used to be the supply room. The door was hanging off its hinges. Inside, most of the shelves were empty or destroyed. The aliens had taken anything useful when they searched the building, but Lisa knew places they might have missed. She had worked here for 3 years. She knew every corner and hiding spot. Behind a fallen cabinet, she found a small box of baby formula that had been overlooked. The box was dented, but the cans inside looked okay. Lisa felt tears in her eyes. This would keep Danny alive for maybe a week, if she was careful with it. She put the formula in her backpack and kept searching. In a drawer that was stuck shut, she found some protein bars and a bottle of water. Not much, but better than nothing. She was about to leave when she heard a sound from deeper in the building. It was not the sound of wind or settling concrete. It was something else, something that sounded almost like breathing. Lisa froze and listened. There it was again. Slow, heavy breathing like someone who was hurt or sleeping. She should leave. Every smart part of her brain told her to take what she had found and get out of there. But the sound was coming from the direction of the old equipment storage room. There might be more supplies there. Medical equipment that she could trade with other survivors for food. Lisa adjusted Danny in her arms and moved toward the sound. The storage room was in the basement. She found the stairs and went down slowly. Each step creaked under her feet. The sound got louder as she got closer. At the bottom of the stairs, she saw light coming from under a door. Not electric light, but something dim and blue like the glow from alien technology. Lisa felt her heart beating faster. She should run. Nothing good ever came from alien technology. But Danny made a small sound in his sleep, and she remembered how light he felt. How his ribs were starting to show through his thin skin. She needed to find more food or her baby was going to die. She pushed the door open very slowly. The room beyond was filled with broken medical equipment and fallen ceiling tiles. In the far corner, under a pile of twisted metal beams, she saw the source of the light and the breathing. It was a Zephyrian soldier. Lisa almost dropped Danny. Her first thought was to run as fast as she could. The aliens killed humans without thinking twice about it. They were bigger and stronger and had weapons that could cut through steel. But this one was not moving. The metal beams had fallen on top of him and pinned him to the floor. One of his legs was bent at a wrong angle. Dark liquid that might have been blood pooled around his body. His gray skin looked pale and sick. The blue light came from some kind of device on his chest. It was blinking slowly like a heartbeat. His large black eyes were closed, and his breathing was shallow and fast. He looked like he was dying. Lisa stood in the doorway for a long time, just looking at him. This was one of the creatures that had destroyed her city and killed her friends. This was the enemy that had made her homeless and hungry. She should let him die, or maybe even help him die faster. But as she watched him breathe, she noticed something else. There were marks on his arms and chest that looked like burns. Not burns from the building collapse, but older ones. Deliberate ones. Someone had hurt this alien on purpose before he got trapped here. Lisa had seen marks like that before when she worked as a nurse. They were torture marks. Someone had been hurting this creature for a long time. She looked down at Danny, sleeping in her arms. Her baby was innocent and helpless, just like this alien was now. Both of them were just trying to survive in a world that wanted them dead. Lisa made a choice that would change everything. Instead of leaving or trying to hurt the trapped alien, she set Danny down in a safe spot and went to see if she could help. The alien's breathing was getting weaker. If she did nothing, he would probably die within the hour. If she helped him, he might live long enough to kill her and Danny both. But Lisa Carter had been a nurse before she became a desperate mother. She had taken an oath to help anyone who was hurt, no matter who they were, even if they were the enemy, even if it might get her killed. She rolled up her sleeves and got to work. Lisa knelt beside the trapped alien and tried to remember everything she knew about first aid. The problem was she had never treated a Zephyrian before. She did not know if their bodies worked the same way as human bodies. She did not know if trying to help would make things worse. The metal beam across his chest was too heavy for her to lift alone. But she could see that it was not crushing him completely. There was just enough space for him to breathe, barely. His leg was definitely broken. The dark liquid around him smelled metallic like human blood, but had a strange blue color to it. Lisa touched his shoulder gently. His skin felt cold and rough like sandpaper. The alien's eyes opened suddenly, and he made a hissing sound that made her jump back. His black eyes focused on her face, and then moved to look at baby Danny sleeping nearby. The alien tried to move, but the beam held him down. He said something in his clicking language that sounded angry and afraid at the same time. Lisa held up her hands to show she was not holding any weapons. "I want to help you," she said quietly. "You are hurt. I used to be a nurse." The alien stared at her like she was speaking nonsense. He probably was confused about why a human would want to help him. Lisa was confused about it too. But she had made her choice, and she was going to stick with it. She looked around the room and found some pieces of metal that she could use as levers. If she could lift the beam just a little bit, maybe the alien could pull himself free. She wedged one piece of metal under the beam and pushed down hard. The beam moved up about an inch. The alien quickly pulled his arms free and then helped push the beam higher. Together they managed to lift it enough for him to drag himself out from underneath. He collapsed against the wall, breathing hard. Now Lisa could see his injuries better. His left leg was broken below the knee. He had deep cuts on his arms and chest, some old and some new. The burn marks she had noticed before covered most of his torso. Someone had definitely tortured this creature. She tore strips of cloth from her shirt to use as bandages. The alien watched her every move with suspicion. When she reached toward his broken leg, he grabbed her wrist with one of his large hands. His grip was strong enough to break her arm if he wanted to. "Let me help," Lisa said. "If your leg gets infected, you will die." The alien stared into her eyes for a long moment. Then he slowly let go of her wrist. Lisa carefully wrapped the broken leg with strips of cloth and used pieces of metal to make a splint. It was not perfect, but it would have to do. As she worked, the alien started to speak. His voice was deep and rough, but he was using human words. His English was not very good, but she could understand him. "Why you help me?" he asked. "Your people and my people are enemies." Lisa tied off the bandage and sat back. "Because you are hurt," she said. "And because someone already hurt you before you got trapped here." The alien looked surprised that she had noticed the old injuries. He was quiet for a while, just breathing and watching her take care of Danny. Finally, he spoke again. "My name is Kale," he said. "I am soldier of the Empire, was soldier. Now I am nothing." "What happened to you?" Lisa asked. Kale was quiet for so long that she thought he would not answer. Then he started talking in his broken English, sometimes switching to his own language when he could not find the right words. He told her that he had been part of the invasion force that attacked New Haven. His job was to search buildings after the bombing and kill any humans who are still alive. But when he found a group of children hiding in a school basement, he could not do it. The children were scared and crying, and they reminded him of something from his own past that he did not want to talk about. Instead of killing the children, Kale had helped them escape the city. When his commanders found out what he had done, they accused him of being a traitor. They tortured him to try to make him tell them why he had saved human lives instead of following orders. Kale had escaped during a prisoner transport and had been hiding in the ruined city ever since. His own people were hunting him now. If they found him, they would kill him slowly and painfully. "So you see," Kale said, "I am enemy to everyone now. Your people hate me because I am Zephyrian. My people hate me because I helped your people." Lisa understood why the other survivors would not trust an alien, even one who claimed to be on their side. She had seen what the Zephyrians had done to her city. She had lost friends and neighbors in the attack. Part of her still wanted to hate this creature sitting in front of her, but she could also see that Kale was telling the truth. The torture marks on his body were real. The fear in his eyes when he talked about his own people was real. And he had risked his life to save human children he did not even know. "There are other people still alive in the city," Lisa told him. "Other humans. They are hiding, but they come out to look for food and supplies." Kale nodded. "I have seen them. I stay away because I know they would try to kill me if they saw me. Some of them would, Lisa agreed. But maybe not all of them. If you could prove that you really want to help. How do I prove that? Kale asked. Who would believe alien who says he wants to help humans? Lisa thought about this. She knew the other survivors. Jake Morrison was their unofficial leader. He had been a soldier before the invasion, and he did not trust anyone easily. Ben Collins was practical and only cared about finding enough food and supplies to survive. Mary Rodriguez had been a teacher and might be more willing to listen to reason, but they would all be suspicious of an alien, especially one who admitted to being part of the invasion force. Lisa would have to be very careful about how she introduced Kale to the others. I know where they are hiding, she said. I could talk to them first, explain the situation. But you would have to do something to prove you are really on our side. What? Kind of something? Kale asked. Lisa thought about what the survivors needed most. Food was always the biggest problem. Medicine was almost as important. And information about alien patrols would help them stay hidden. You know about Zephyrian technology and military tactics, she said. You could help us avoid the patrol ships. Maybe help us find supplies that your people left behind. Kale nodded slowly. Yes, I know where Empire keeps supply depots. I know. Patrol schedules and routes. This information could help your people survive longer. Danny started to wake up and make small crying sounds. Lisa picked him up and tried to calm him down. She had used some of the baby formula she found, but she was still not producing enough milk to keep him satisfied. Kale watched her try to comfort the baby. His expression was strange, like he was thinking about something sad. Your young one is hungry, he said. Yes, Lisa admitted. I cannot find enough food. He is getting weaker. There is Zephyrian Medical Facility 10 kilometers north of here, Kale said. They have food supplies and medical equipment. But it is heavily guarded. Lisa felt a spark of hope. Real food and medicine could save not just Danny, but all the other survivors. But 10 kilometers was a long way to travel with a baby, and she could not take on Zephyrian guards by herself. Would you help us get those supplies? She asked. Kale looked at her for a long time. Then he looked at Danny, who had fallen back, asleep in her arms. Yes, he said, I will help. But first we must convince your people that I am not going to kill them all in their sleep. Lisa smiled for the first time in weeks. It was not going to be easy. Jake and the others would probably want to shoot Kale on sight. But maybe, just maybe, they could make this work. She helped Kale stand up using a piece of metal as a crutch. His broken leg would slow them down, but he could walk. Together they gathered up the supplies Lisa had found and prepared to leave the ruined medical center. As they climbed back up the stairs, Lisa wondered if she was making a terrible mistake. She was trusting an alien soldier with the lives of every human survivor in the city. If she was wrong about Kale, they would all die. But if she was right, they might have a chance to do more than just survive. They might actually have a chance to fight back. Lisa and Kale moved slowly through the broken streets toward the survivor camp. Kale limped badly on his injured leg, but he did not complain. Every few minutes they stopped to hide when they heard the sound of alien patrol ships flying overhead. Camp was hidden in the basement of an old department store. Lisa had helped choose this place because it had thick concrete walls and multiple exits. The survivors had blocked most of the entrances and covered the windows so no light would show from inside. Wait here, Lisa told Kale when they reached the building. Let me talk to them first. Kale nodded and sat down behind a pile of rubble where he could not be seen from the street. Lisa climbed down to a hidden entrance in the loading dock. Inside the basement, oil lamps gave off a dim yellow light. About 30 people sat around in small groups. Some were sleeping on old mattresses and blankets. Others were cleaning. weapons, or counting supplies. A few children played quietly in one corner. Jake Morrison looked up when Lisa entered. He was a big man with gray hair and scars on his face from the invasion. He had been a sergeant in the Colonial Guard before. The aliens came. You were gone a long time, Jake said. Find anything useful? Lisa set down her backpack and pulled out the baby formula and protein bars she had found, some food, and some information. Ben Collins walked over to see what she had brought. Ben was thin and nervous, and always worried about running out of supplies. This is not much, he said. We need more than this to keep everyone fed. I know where we can get more food, Lisa said. A lot more. But I need to tell you all something important. Mary Rodriguez came over from where she had been reading a story to the children. Mary was in her 50s and had taught school before. The invasion. She was one of the few people who still tried to keep hope alive. What is it, Lisa? Mary asked. Lisa took a deep breath. I found someone who can help us. Someone who knows where the aliens keep their supplies. Jake frowned. Another survivor? Why did you not bring them with you? Because he is not human, Lisa said quietly. The basement went completely silent. Everyone stopped what they were doing, then turned to look at Lisa. Jake's hand moved toward the gun on his belt. You found an alien? Jake asked in a dangerous voice. He is injured, Lisa said quickly. And he is not like the others. He saved human children during the invasion. His own people tortured him for it. They are hunting him now. You brought an alien here? Ben's voice was high and scared. Are you crazy? They will track him right to us. He does not have any tracking devices, Lisa said. I checked. And he wants to help us get food and medicine. Jake stood up and several other survivors reached for their weapons. Where is this alien now? Jake demanded. He is outside. But Jake, you have to listen to me. He could have killed me and Danny easily, but he did not. He helped me lift the metal beam that was trapping him. He told me about Zephyrian supply depots that we could raid. Or he could be lying, said Henry. Stone. Henry was a bitter man who had lost his wife and daughter in the invasion. This could be a trap. The aliens could be using him to find us. Mary stepped forward. Let me understand this. You found a wounded alien soldier who claims he was tortured by his own people for helping humans. Yes, Lisa said. And I believe him. The torture marks are real. The fear in his eyes when he talks about other Zephyrians is real. Even if that is true, Jake said, how do we know he will not change his mind and kill us all when he gets better? Lisa looked around at all the scared and angry faces. She understood their fear. These people had seen their friends and families killed by aliens. They had been hiding and running for months. Trusting an enemy soldier seemed like madness. Because, Lisa said, he had the chance to kill me and my baby when I was helping him. He could have taken my supplies and left me to die. Instead, he told me about places where we can find food and medicine. What places? Ben asked. He was always interested in supplies, even when he was scared. A medical facility 10 kilometers north of here. He says it has food and equipment, but it is guarded. Jake shook his head. Even if this alien is telling the truth about the supplies, how do we know he is not leading us into a trap? How do we know there are not 50 Zephyrian soldiers waiting for us? We test him, Mary said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. We give him small tasks first. See if he keeps his word. If he really wants to help us, he will prove it. What kind of tasks? Jake asked. Mary thought for a moment. He could tell us about patrol schedules. Help us avoid the alien ships. If his information is good, then maybe we can trust him with bigger things. Lisa felt hope growing in her chest. Mary was the voice of reason in the group. If she was willing to consider trusting Kale, maybe the others would listen. I still think. This is a bad idea, Henry said. The only good alien is a dead alien. Maybe, Jake said. But we are running out of food and medicine. If this alien really knows where we can get supplies, we might have to take the risk. So you will meet with him? Lisa asked. Jake was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded. I will meet with him. But he comes in here alone and unarmed. And if I think for 1 second that he is lying or planning to betray us, I will put a bullet in his head. Lisa went back outside to get Kale. She found him exactly where she had left him, sitting quietly behind the rubble. He looked up when she approached. How did they react? He asked. About as well as I expected, Lisa said. They are scared and angry. But their leader wants to meet with you. Kale stood up slowly, using his metal crutch. What is his name? Jake Morrison. He used to be a soldier. He does not trust easily. Good, Kale said. Leaders who trust too easily get their people killed. Lisa led Kale down into the basement. When they entered, she saw that Jake had positioned several people with guns around the room. They were trying to look casual, but Lisa could see they were ready to shoot if Kale made any threatening moves. Kale looked around the room calmly. He was bigger than any of the humans, even sitting down because of his injured leg. His gray skin and black eyes made him look strange and frightening. In the dim light, "You are Jake Morrison," Kale said to Jake. His English was slow but clear. "That is right," Jake said. "And you are the alien who claims he wants to help us." "I am Kale Vorthik. I was communications officer in the 7th Assault Division of the Zephyrian Empire. Now I'm nothing." "Lisa says you saved human children during the invasion," Mary said. Kale nodded. 12 children hiding in basement of learning facility. My orders were to eliminate all humans in the building. I could not do it. Why not? Jake asked. Your people had no trouble killing everyone else. Kale was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer. The children were scared. They reminded me of myself when I was young. Before the Empire took me from my family and made me into a soldier. The Empire takes children? Mary asked. All children, Kale said. At age 7, we are taken from our families and trained to be soldiers or workers or breeders. I never saw my parents again after that day. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. She had not known that Zephyrian society worked this way. So you helped the children escape, Jake said. Then what happened? My commander found out. He said I was infected with human weakness. They tortured me to try to remove this weakness. When that did not work, they decided to execute me. I escaped. During transport, Ben spoke up from across the room. If your own people want you dead, why should we trust you? Kale looked at Ben with his dark eyes. Because I have nowhere else to go. Because your people are the only ones who might accept me, and because I know things that could help you survive. What kind of things? Jake asked. Patrol schedules, supply depot locations, weak points in Empire defenses, communication codes. Kale paused. Your people fight like you think the Empire is all-powerful, but we are not. We have weaknesses. I can teach you how to exploit them. Jake leaned forward. Tell me about the patrol schedules. For the next hour, Kale shared information about alien movements around the city. He drew maps on pieces of paper, showing where the patrol ships flew and when. He explained how Zephyrian sensors worked and how humans could avoid being detected. Lisa watched the other survivors as Kale talked. She could see them becoming more interested despite their fear. This information was valuable. It could help them stay hidden and find supplies more safely. There is something else, Kale said finally. The Empire plans to leave this world soon. There are not enough humans left to make it worth keeping. They will do one final sweep to kill any remaining survivors, Then they will go. When? Jake asked. 2 weeks. Maybe 3. The basement fell silent again. This changed everything. The survivors had been thinking they could hide indefinitely. But if the aliens were planning a final sweep, hiding would not be enough. We need those supplies. You mentioned, Jake said. If we are going to survive a final sweep, we need better weapons and more food. Kale nodded. The medical facility I told Lisa about. It has everything you need. But it will not be easy to take. How many guards? Jake asked. Usually 6 soldiers. But they have heavy weapons and good positions. Jake looked around the room at his people. 30 survivors, most of them not trained fighters. 6 alien soldiers with heavy weapons seemed impossible. Unless, Kale said quietly, you have someone? Who knows their procedures? Someone who can get close without being shot. The next 3 days were spent planning the raid on the Zephyrian medical facility. Kale drew detailed maps of the building and explained how the guards would be positioned. Jake organized the survivors into teams and assigned roles for the mission. Lisa spent most of her time taking care of Danny and helping Kale recover from his injuries. His broken leg was healing slowly, but he could walk short distances without the crutch. The other survivors were beginning to trust him more as his information about patrol schedules proved accurate. On the 3rd night, Lisa noticed that Danny felt hot when she picked him up. His breathing was quick and shallow, and he would not drink. The formula she offered him. She felt his forehead with the back of her hand. He definitely had a fever. Mary, Lisa called quietly, can you come look at Danny? Mary had some medical training from her years as a teacher. She had learned basic first aid to take care of injured children. She touched Danny's forehead and listened to his breathing. He is very sick, Mary said. This looks like it could be pneumonia or some kind of infection. He needs real medicine, not just the basic supplies we have here. Lisa felt panic rising in her chest. Danny was already so weak from not getting enough food. If he had pneumonia, he might die within days. The formula she had found was helping, but it was not enough to make him strong enough to fight off a serious illness. What can we do? Lisa asked. Mary looked sad. Without proper antibiotics and medical equipment, there is not much we can do. We can try to keep him warm and comfortable, but... She did not finish the sentence, but Lisa understood. Without real medical care, Danny was going to die. Kale had been sitting nearby, listening to their conversation. He stood up and walked over to where Lisa was holding her sick baby. Zephyrian medical technology could save him, Kale said quietly. The medical facility you told us about, Lisa asked. Yes, but also something else. I still have an emergency medical beacon from when I was a soldier. If I activate it, it will bring a medical shuttle within 1 hour. Lisa stared at him. But that would also bring Zephyrian soldiers. Yes, Kale said. Many soldiers. They would. Find this place and everyone here would be captured or killed. Jake had heard their conversation and came over. And we cannot use it. We cannot risk everyone's lives for one baby. Lisa looked down at Danny in her arms. His breathing was getting worse, and his skin felt burning hot. She knew Jake was right. She could not ask 30 people to die to save her son. But she also could not just sit and watch Danny die when there was something that could save him. There might be another way, Kale said slowly. If I activate the beacon and then lead the soldiers away from here, you might have enough time to get the medical equipment and escape. That is suicide, Ben said. Your own people want to kill you. If you go back to them, they will torture you to death. Kale nodded. Probably. But the medical equipment on their shuttle could save the child's life. Why would you do that? Henry asked. Why would you die for a human baby? Kale looked down at Danny, who was making small whimpering sounds. Because when I see him, I remember. what it feels like to be helpless. I remember being 7 years old and taken from my family. I remember crying for my mother and no one caring. He paused and looked around at all the survivors watching him. Your people do something mine never learned how to do. You care for your weak ones. You risk your lives for children and old people, and anyone who cannot fight. The Empire teaches you that this makes you weak. But I have watched you for days now, and I see something different. Mary stepped closer. What do you see? I see that caring for others makes you stronger, not weaker. I see people who share their food even when they are hungry. I see a mother who would die before letting harm come to her child. I see humans who took in an enemy soldier because he was hurt. Kale touched Danny's small hand with one large gray finger. This child is innocent. He did not choose this war. If I can save him by sacrificing myself, then maybe I can do something. Good before I die. Lisa felt tears running down her face. Kale, I cannot ask you to do this. You are not asking. I am choosing. Jake put his hand on Lisa's shoulder. Lisa, we cannot let him sacrifice himself for Danny. It is not right. Then what do you suggest? Lisa asked. Just let my baby die? The basement fell silent. Everyone could hear Danny's labored breathing getting worse. Lisa could see in their faces that they all cared about her son, but they also knew that using the beacon would probably get them all killed. There is another choice, Mary said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. We could evacuate this place. Tonight, move everyone to a new hiding spot. Then tomorrow, Kale could activate the beacon from here. When the soldiers come, they will find an empty building. But we would lose all our supplies, Ben protested. All the food and weapons we have, stored here. We would be alive, Mary replied. And we would have Zephyrian medical equipment to help Danny and anyone else who gets sick. Jake thought about this plan. It was risky, but it might work. How long would we have between when Kale activates the beacon and when the soldiers arrive? 1 hour at most, Kale said. Probably less. Could we get everyone moved and hidden in one night? Jake asked. If we start now and work through the night, yes, Mary said. I know another place we could hide. An old subway tunnel that the aliens probably do not know about. Lisa looked around at all the faces watching her. These people were willing to give up their safe hiding place and risk their lives to help save her baby. The thought made her heart feel full and broken at the same time. Are you all sure about this? She asked. Danny is part of our family now, Mary said. We do not abandon family. Henry, who had been the most suspicious of Kale, spoke up. If we are going to do this crazy thing, we better start moving. For the next 8 hours, the survivors worked to pack up everything they could carry and move it to the subway tunnel Mary had found. It was harder work than any of them had done since the invasion, but no one complained. Even the children helped carry small bags and supplies. Kale could not help much with the heavy lifting because of his injured leg, but he organized the packing and made sure nothing important was forgotten. Lisa was amazed at how efficiently he worked with the humans. It was like he had been part of their group for months instead of days. By dawn, everything had been moved to the new hiding place. The subway tunnel was not as comfortable as the department store basement, but it was hidden and had multiple escape routes. Lisa sat with Danny in her arms, while Jake and Kale made final plans for the beacon activation. Danny's breathing was much worse now, and he barely responded when she touched him. She could tell he was running out of time. I will activate the beacon at exactly noon, Kale said. That will give you 1 hour to get the medical equipment and get back here before the soldiers realize this was a trick. What will you tell them when they arrive? Jake asked. I will tell them I have been hiding here since I escaped. I will say I activated the beacon because I was dying from my injuries and wanted to surrender. Will they believe you? Kale shrugged. Probably not. But it will give you time to escape with the medical equipment. Lisa looked up from Danny's still form. What if they do not bring medical equipment? What if they just come to capture you? Medical shuttles always carry emergency medical supplies, Kale said. It is standard procedure. There will be enough to save your son. Ben checked his watch. It is almost noon. Jake shook hands with Kale. Thank you for this. Whatever happens, we will remember what you did. Take care of the child, Kale said. And remember that not all Zephyrians are monsters. Some of us can learn to be better. Kale limped back toward the old department store to activate the beacon. Lisa watched him go and wondered if she would ever see him alive again. 30 minutes. Later, they heard the sound of alien ships approaching the building. Jake and Ben ran toward the store with empty backpacks to grab whatever medical supplies they could find. Lisa held Danny close and whispered to him, Hold on, baby. Help is coming. Just hold on a little longer. In the distance, she could hear the sound of alien voices and heavy footsteps. She prayed that Kale was still alive and that Jake and Ben would make it back safely. Everything depended on the next few minutes. Jake and Ben crept through the shadows toward the old department store. They could see 3 Zephyrian shuttles landed in the street outside. Alien soldiers in gray armor were moving around the building with weapons ready. Through a broken window, they could see Kale sitting on the floor inside the store. His hands were behind his back, probably tied up. A tall Zephyrian officer stood in front of him asking questions in their clicking language. Even from a distance, Jake could see that this officer was different from the regular soldiers. His armor had gold markings that probably meant he was important. That must be their commander, Ben whispered. Jake nodded and pointed to one of the shuttles. And medical equipment will be in there. We wait until they are all focused on questioning. Kale, then we grab what we can and run. They waited for 20 minutes, watching the aliens interrogate Kale. Jake was impressed that the alien soldier had not broken yet. Even when one of the guards hit him with the butt of his weapon, Kale kept telling the same story about hiding in the building since his escape. Finally, most of the soldiers went inside to search the building. Only 2 guards remained by the shuttles. Jake and Ben moved carefully toward the nearest medical shuttle. The back door of the shuttle was open, and they could see boxes of equipment inside. Ben kept watch while Jake climbed into the shuttle and started grabbing medical supplies. He found boxes marked with symbols that looked like they meant medicine or medical equipment. Just as Jake was climbing out of the shuttle with his arms full of supplies, they heard shouting from inside the building. The alien commander was yelling something in his own language. It sounded angry. They figured out we moved everyone, Ben said. We need to go now. Jake and Ben ran as fast as they could back toward the subway tunnel. Behind them, they could hear more shouting and the sound of alien soldiers spreading out to search the area. When they reached the tunnel, Lisa was waiting at the entrance. Danny was lying very still in her arms, and his breathing was so shallow that Jake could barely see his chest moving. Did you get the medicine? Lisa asked. Jake opened one of the boxes he had taken. Inside were small devices that looked like they were meant to inject medicine into someone. There were also scanner devices and what looked like breathing equipment. I do not know how to use any of this, Jake said. Mary came over to look at the alien medical equipment. Some of this looks similar to human medical devices. This scanner might tell us what is wrong with Danny. She picked up a small device that had a screen on it. When she held it near Danny, the screen lit up with symbols and numbers that none of them could read. We need Kale to explain how this works, Mary said. Back at the department store, the alien commander was standing over Kale with his weapon drawn. Commander Thex Moreland had known Kale before his desertion. They had served together for many years. You are lying, Moreland said. in their own language. This building has been empty for days. Where are the humans you have been helping? I do not know what you mean, Kale replied. I have been hiding here alone. Morlin hit Kale across the face with his armored hand. We found evidence that humans were living here recently. Food containers, sleeping areas, weapons. You helped them escape before activating the beacon. I found those things when I arrived, Kale said. The humans were already gone. Morlin walked around Kale in a circle. Even if that were true, why did you activate the beacon? You know we are here to execute you for treason. Kale looked up at his former commander. Because I was dying from my injuries. I thought perhaps the Empire would show mercy to a wounded soldier. Mercy? Morlin laughed. You betrayed everything the Empire stands for. You chose alien weakness over Zephyrian strength. There is no mercy for traitors. Morlin raised his weapon to kill Kale. Then he stopped and lowered it again. Actually, I have a better idea. You claim you are not helping the humans. Prove it. How? Kale asked. My scanners show that human children were in this building recently. Very recently. They cannot have gone far. Morlin smiled coldly. Help me find them, and I will give you a quick death instead of the slow torture you deserve. Kale stared at Morlin for a long moment. And if I refuse? Then I will assume you know where they are hiding. I will torture you until you tell me. Then I will find them anyway, and kill them slowly while you watch. This was the test that Kale had been dreading. Saving Danny had been easy compared to this. Now he was being asked to choose between his own life and the lives of all the humans he had come to care about in the subway tunnel. Danny had stopped breathing. Lisa was crying and shaking her son gently, trying to get him to take a breath. Mary was frantically trying to figure out how the alien medical equipment worked. There has to be something here that can help him, Mary said. Kale said their technology could save him. Jake picked up what looked like a breathing mask connected to a small machine. Maybe this helps with breathing? But how do we turn it on? Ben asked. We cannot read their symbols. Lisa looked down at Danny's still face. Her baby was dying, and she could not save him. All of Kale's sacrifice would be for nothing if they could not figure out how to use the alien medicine. We have to go back, Lisa said quietly. What? Jake asked. We have to go back and get Kale. He is the only one who knows how to use this equipment. Lisa, that is suicide, Ben said. There are dozens of alien soldiers there. Then my baby dies anyway, Lisa said. At least this way we have a chance. Mary put her hand on Lisa's shoulder. She is right. Without Kale, this equipment is useless. Jake looked around at the other survivors. He could see in their faces that they agreed with Lisa. They had come this far together. They were not going to give up now. All right, Jake said. But we do this smart. We cannot fight that many soldiers. We need a different plan. Back at the department store, Kale was still refusing to help Morlin find the humans. The commander had started torturing him again, but Kale had not broken. You surprise me, Morlin said. I never thought you had this much strength. But everyone breaks eventually. Not for this, Kale said through gritted teeth. I will die before I help you hurt innocent children. Morlin stopped hitting Kale and stared at him. Innocent? They are humans. They are the enemy. They are children, Kale said. Like we were. Once, before the Empire taught us that strength means hurting those weaker than ourselves. The Empire made us strong, Morlin said. Without the Empire, we would still be primitive farmers on our home world. The Empire made us into monsters. Kale replied, I have seen what real strength looks like. It does not come from hurting others. It comes from protecting them. Morlin was quiet for a moment. He had known Kale for 20 years. They had fought side by side in many battles. He had never seen his old friend show weakness before. What did these humans do to you? Morlin asked. How did they make you forget your duty to the Empire? They showed me kindness when they had no reason to, Kale said. They shared their food with me when they were starving. They risked their lives to help me when I was injured. They taught me that taking care of others is not weakness. It is the greatest strength of all. Morlin shook his head. You have been infected with human sentiment. It has made you weak and foolish. No, Hale said. It has made me remember what I was before the Empire stole my childhood and turned me into a killer. Suddenly, they heard a voice calling from outside the building. It was Lisa's voice. Commander Morlin, she called in clear English. I want to make a deal with you. Morlin looked surprised. A human who knows my name. He walked to the window and looked out. Lisa was standing in the street, holding baby Danny. Behind her were Jake, Mary, Ben, and several other survivors. I am Lisa Carter, she called. Kale told me about you. I know you are testing him to see if he will betray us. Morlin was intrigued. A human mother walking directly into danger was not something he had expected. What kind of deal do you want to make? Morlin called back. Let Kale go, and I will give you something more valuable than one traitor soldier. What could you possibly have that I would want? Lisa held up Danny. Information about why your Empire's evaluation of humanity is wrong. About why you should not destroy us. Morlin laughed. Your species has already been evaluated. You are weak and sentimental. You waste resources on those who cannot contribute. That is exactly what I want to prove wrong, Lisa said. Give me 1 hour with Kale to save my son's life. Then I will show you something about humanity that your Empire has never understood. Morlin considered this. He was curious about what this human mother thought she could show him. Very well, he said. 1 hour. But if you try to escape or attack my soldiers, I will kill all of you. Lisa walked into the building with her baby. Kale looked up at her with shock and fear. Why did you come back? You should ask. You should have. Run. Because you are right, Lisa said. This is what humans do. We do not abandon each other. For the next hour, Kale worked frantically with the alien medical equipment to save Danny's life. The breathing machine helped get oxygen into the baby's lungs. Medicine injectors fought the infection. Slowly, Danny's breathing improved, and his fever started to go down. Commander Morlin watched everything with growing confusion. He had expected the humans to try to escape or fight. Instead, they had voluntarily put themselves in danger to save one sick infant.